can hide. I just don't wanna die. Sharknado, Sharknado.
Okay, the Meg is finally here. The 8-month anticipation is finally over. The Shark movie us Shark fans have always wanted, including me. Like, we've always wanted this movie. I mean, the movie went through a lot of like development and like in production issues where the movie had a lot of directors hooked onto the movie and a lot of scripts, and there was just a lot of issues making the movie. And at a point, I thought this movie was never going to happen because originally Eli Roth, he directed. He's done some torture porn movies, and originally he was going to make an R-rated The Meg-Movie. So for a lot of directors, but this movie is directed by the guy who did the National Treasure movies. And I was hoping that the tone of this movie and the tone of the National Treasure movies, I was hoping he would bring the tone and the fun aspect of National Treasure to The Meg. And did he? In a couple ways he did. It did deliver. So what's the story to The Meg? So this movie stars Jason Statham as a marine diving expert who has to confront a 7-foot megalodon that attacks an underwater research station. So Jason Statham and his team of scientists have to band together to kill this thing and hopefully take us along for the ride. So the first thing I want to talk about is the stuff I liked about the movie. So the first thing I liked is the performances were pretty good. Jason Statham is such a likable actor. He's the main man. He's there to get the job done and be a badass and say it's a megalodon. I love the way he says that in this movie. Jason Statham actually had to swim with real sharks in preparation for the Meg, so he knows what it feels like to be chased by a 70-foot monster known as the megalodon, and what fear would be going through his body at that time, and what facial expressions he would have to make when he sees the shark. And I think he did a good job for what he had to do in this role. And another actor that's in this movie is Ruby Rose. And I also liked Ruby Rose. Like, she's that chick that acts all tough and gangster and I don't give a shit about anything type of character. And I dug that about her character. I mean, I just liked her personality. I liked the character that she played. The second thing I like is the obvious. It's the megalodon was quite a threat. It's not a normal shark. It's a big 70-foot great white shark which survives a lot in this movie. It's getting bombs dropped on top of it, and it still stays strong. The CGI on the shark actually looked like a real shark. It doesn't look like a shark from the Sci-Fi Channel from like Mega Shark or Snow Shark or Sharknado. It doesn't look like one of those cheaply made for TV sharks. You can tell most of the budget went into making the design of this shark, which I liked, and it looks like a real shark, which I've got to approve on. The scenes when the megalodon was attacking people was extremely fun and kept me entertained for the 2-hour runtime of this movie. And the movie takes a bit to get going and starts showing you what the people came for, which is the megalodon attacking people, and the movie playing with how dumb it is. The megalodon doesn't show up to about probably the midway point of the movie. For like the first half an hour you don't see it. I mean, you can feel its presence, you can feel it attacking, but you just don't see it. You feel its presence and you know it's lurking in those waters somewhere. And the third thing I like is the humour. I thought it landed pretty well. I actually laughed quite a bit in this movie. I was not just grinning, I was laughing my ass off in a lot of the scenes. Like that scene when Jack Morris, he's like the comedic character in the movie. He's the one that's cracking all the jokes. Is when he made that joke about Shark Week. That had me laughing a lot. And that's not a spoiler because the scene's in the trailer. That scene had me laughing a lot in the movie. And the movie has like jokes and little references like to Jaws, which I'll talk more about that Jaws references spoiler talk review. And some jokes did not land as well as others, but for the most part the jokes landed pretty well. There were only a very few that didn't land that well. My fifth positive with this movie is the underwater sequences look beautiful. The movie gives you a good look at the ocean. My favourite part of this movie that was based underwater was when they went down to the Mariana Trench, and it's totally a different world down there. The visuals really make that world come to life and made it feel like it's a place no human has discovered yet. And I liked learning about like the different species of fish that are down there and the megalodon and all of that. I really liked like the Mariana Trench scenes. I probably spent about 10 minutes down there, maybe 15. I'll go as far and say 15 minutes of screen time on the Mariana Trench. But yeah, like everything that was down there just looked so beautiful. Like every visual was in place perfectly. It felt like a place no man on earth has discovered, and I like that. Okay, so now let's move over and talk about the opposites, the dislikes, because this movie is not perfect. It definitely has some issues which I'm about to talk about. So my first dislike is I feel like the movie should have been rated R. And I think a lot of critics will say the same thing as me. Because there's definitely some really brutal and disturbing scenes in this movie that the movie cuts away from at the last second so you don't see the blood. Like there's a couple of deaths in the movie. I'm not telling you who or what dies in the movie. That's all you have to know is the movie cuts at the last second so you don't see the blood. And I think if the movie was rated R, I think it would have been a lot more entertaining and fun to watch. But for what we got, it was fine. The director has come out and said that there is an R-rated cut in here somewhere. And it's doubtful that we will get an unrated cut when the movie does come out on DVD and Blu-ray. But the scenes that we got, the movie was fine for PG-13. But I just feel like it would have been better being an R movie, like just showing all the blood and just going for it. But there isn't. But the director has come out and said there is an R-rated cut. So I'm not holding my breath that sometime down the line we will get an unrated cut. I'm not holding my breath for that. So my second dislike is it wasn't dumb enough. The movie doesn't play with how dumb it is. It took itself way too seriously. I mean, there's scenes in this movie where the movie takes itself way too serious and doesn't play with the fact that it's dumb. And at that point I was like, the movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know what the tone is. It doesn't know if the movie wants to be serious or dumb. It just doesn't know, and it plays with two different tones. I mean, at times the movie does go for that dumb fun. The trailers market this movie as a movie that knows what it is and it's playing with how dumb it is, just trying to be a silly shark movie. But when you're watching the movie, it's taken more seriously than dumb fun. But don't get me wrong, there was dumb fun in here for sure. There's definitely a couple of scenes, a couple of lines of dialogue which definitely hit that dumb fun spot perfectly. There's a couple of things the shark does which is dumb fun. My third dislike with this movie was the Megalodon, and I'm afraid to say that because I really like the shark in this movie. My problem with the Megalodon in this movie was I felt like there was not enough Megalodon in this movie. I wanted more screen time because there are actually scenes in the trailer that are not in the movie, like which sucks. Like there was one scene in the trailer which I was super hyped to see on the big screen, but you never see it, and that's the scene at the end when the shark is like coming up from the surface and it's about to like eat that bite, and you get the camera's like kind of pointing down, you get a shot of how wide its mouth is. It's like the final shot in the trailer, and you never saw that. I mean, I was just waiting for that scene, but you never see it. So there were scenes in the trailer that are cut from the movie. And that last shot, it was in every single TV spot, in every single trailer, and they didn't even bother to put it in the movie, which I was disappointed by. And yeah, there just wasn't enough shark in the movie. But yeah, like, I was disappointed that I did not get to see one of my favourite scenes of the trailer in this movie. I was kind of disappointed by that, but like the whole first act of this movie, you don't see the Megalodon. Its presence is there, but you just don't see it. It's not probably until like the 30-minute mark of this movie when you get to see the Megalodon in its full glory, and you get to actually finally see the Megalodon for the first time. And there's actually a couple of twists and turns in the movie that I actually liked, that include the Megalodon, which I did not really expect going in, really. So yeah, like I just wanted more screen time on the Megalodon, because like the first act I found just very slow. I mean, I like the build up, I like where it was going, I like the whole build up of them I like the whole build up of them unleashing this big beast from the Megalodon Trench. I like that build up. But I just felt like it dragged on for a bit too long, and I just wanted to see the Megalodon and probably get about 20 to 30 minutes of screen time on the Megalodon. Maybe even less, but I'm just going to say around about there. But yeah, there were scenes in the trailer that were cut from the movie which I did not like. And one thing I did notice, because, you know, I've seen the Meg trailer over 100 times, and there were scenes in the trailer, like, the dialogue in the trailer, it's actually changed from the movie. Like that scene in the trailer where the girl says, "There's a monster outside." When she says that in this movie, it's different. She doesn't say there's a monster outside. She uses a different word. I don't remember what it was, but just those kind of little things I noticed, which I found kind of fun. So yeah, like I'm afraid to say that the Megalodon was a dislike, because I really did like it, but I just wanted to see a little bit more screen time focused on the Megalodon, but even though you don't see the Megalodon in the first act, its presence is still there. And when it first appears, I want to it's pretty cool to watch. And there are still some pretty cool scenes of the Megalodon, and the Megalodon does some pretty insane and fun stuff throughout this movie, which I did really enjoy. Okay, so this is my final dislike with this movie, and that is the CGI is good, especially on the shark. I mean, there's the CGI shark, it looks freaking great. Yeah, don't get me wrong there, but there were a few scenes where I was like, yeah, that's a special effect right there. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where a boat is on fire and it's in flames, and the CGI flames look so fake. It takes away from the movie, but they mainly focused on making the shark look realistic and real, which I really like that. They didn't go in and make the most cheapest shark possible. They put most of the budget of this movie. They focused most of the budget of this movie went to making the shark look realistic and real. But there were a few scenes where I was like, yeah, that's a CGI animal, that's a CGI fire right there. Those are things I just noticed. But yeah, this movie is not perfect. The biggest question is, was this movie worth the 8-month anticipation? In a couple of ways, yes, but for the most part, I'll probably say it was disappointed, because there were scenes in the trailer that were cut out, and scenes I was looking forward to seeing on the big screen, but I never got to see them. I found the movie at the same time kind of disappointing, but there is enjoyment to be had in this movie for sure. Knock it down a notch and say the Meg is enjoyable. Because I mean, it's a fun horror thriller creature movie. I mean, you can watch it and just have fun at what's being thrown at the screen. But if you really analyse this movie, it's really nothing amazing. I wanted to see more of the Megalodon, and the movie and there's a couple of romantic relationships that go on, which I did not really care for. But there were some good performances, and the shark was freaking awesome. Every scene that was on screen was so badass and so memorable. I'll say I had a fun time. Now, I probably would watch this movie a second time, but it's just not the best shark movie out there. I would still say Jaws is better. The Meg was only released in Australia 2 days ago. The second day that it was released in Australia, I got to see it last night. At a 9:30 screening, and yeah, it was the second day that it was released in Australia, and there wasn't a big audience there. And I have a feeling this movie won't do that well at the box office, because shark movies in the past, they haven't had a good record, with Sharknado, Mega Shark, Robo Shark, House Shark, Land Shark, all of them. The shark movie genre hasn't had a good record. So anyways, I just really wanted to mention that I want to try and get my review out as fast as I can, because this movie I was really anticipating and I was really excited for. I don't think it was really worth the 8-month anticipation. I mean, it was a fun movie to watch. Don't go into this movie expecting it to be a masterpiece. Don't expect it to be better than Jaws, but it's definitely one of the best shark movies out there. It's probably on the level of The Shallows, Reef, and just those movies. It's one of the best shark movies out there. It has good CGI shark. The shark is badass whenever it is on screen. It has some good performances by Jason Statham and Ruby Rose. So, anyways, yeah, let me know down in the comments, what is your favourite and least favourite shark movie? I know there's a lot of shark movies there, but what is your least favourite? One that you just hate to watch again? For me, Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus. I hate that movie with a passion. Go down in the comments, what did you think of the Meg? Did you like it or did you hate it? So thank you everybody for watching this review, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next video.